Hello everyone, thanks for joining us here on Horizon. Well, Oklahoma has a hole, to be exact, a $300 million revenue hole in the state budget. And it's our state lawmakers' primary function to fill it, a shortfall that has only been exacerbated by shrinking tax revenue from falling oil prices and a cut in the state income tax that goes into place this summer. By all indications, state services will once again go under the knife this session as lawmakers do not have any of the one-time monies they used to fill similar budget holes last year. All the while, Oklahoma prisons are in threat of a federal takeover due to the lack of state funding, while education funding continues to be a sore spot for both parents and teachers.
It is my privilege to introduce to you the governor of the great state of Oklahoma, Governor Mary Fallin.
As lawmakers begin a new session, they face an old problem, a budget shortfall.
We all know Oklahoma currently faces substantial budget cuts and budget challenges, and we will have some budget cuts.
Cuts in state services that Minority House Leader Scott Inman says is the legislature's own doing.
I think when you look at the actual numbers and the fact that our economy is growing, the state's doing relatively well, the fact that we actually have about $100 million coming into the state coffers this year, more than what we had last year, but yet we have $300 million fewer to spend in actual budgetary items. It has to lead to only one conclusion, and that's that the legislative leadership of the Capitol has sort of let the state down.
That's because growth in Oklahoma's economy last year triggers a quarter-point reduction in the state income tax this year, even though gross production taxes have begun to fall due to lower energy prices. Mickey Hepner is dean of the OCU Business School.
And this is one of the reasons why I don't really support tax cuts that are set to take effect in future years, because we never quite know what the economic conditions are when they take effect. And here we have a tax cut coming into effect right at arguably the worst time for it to do so.
But according to Governor Fallin, this year's budget hole has less to do with the revenue coming in and more to do with mandatory off-the-top spending and apportionments.
Our current budget system diverts billions of dollars away from the general revenue fund before the budgeting process begins, either to support various government programs or pay for tax credits or incentives, or to fill unused revolving funds maintained by some state agencies.
And while the legislature filled some of last year's budget holes with state agency carryover money, reducing the number of tax credits given out by the state proved to be a much more difficult proposition.
If there's a significant tax credit out there, it's on the books in part because some special interest group came to the Capitol and convinced legislative leaders, either recently or in years past, to put it on the books. And so if you're going to try to take it off the books, well, that same special interest group, and now maybe even more folks who are now taking advantage of that same special interest tax credit, they're all going to come to the Capitol and beat up on legislative leaders and say, don't you dare touch that. And they're going to create this woe is me. If you do it, then the world is, the chicken little, the sky's going to fall if you eliminate this tax credit. All of those scenarios will play themselves out this session. And I think because of that, if I were a betting man and you put me on the spot and said, are we going to have real significant tax credit reform this year? I'd say maybe for new ones that come on the books, we may put together a good rubric to say we're going to be more stringent in how we apply new tax credits, but I'm not real optimistic that we're going to make any real significant changes to the tax credits that are currently existing.
So just how the legislature fills the current budget hole may well be the key question of this session, with their answer certainly having long-term implications on everything from education to health care to public safety and transportation.